One of the first videos was on the Purpose tab. The Purpose tab provides a place for you and your trainer to record what's important for you to keep in mind as you plan your next 12 months. If you mostly want to make more money personally and work fewer hours, you must keep these in mind as you plan your year, otherwise they will only happen by chance, if at all. The Goals tab, however, makes sure that you and your team now know what's required to successfully execute your plan. One of the first rules of motivating people is to make sure they want to accomplish what you need them to accomplish. Therefore, it is far better to go through the goal-setting process with your team than it is to go through it by yourself and impose your goals on them from the top down. As you review each tab, have your team think through what must be created in all 4 disciplines of sales, marketing, operations, and finance to create the results identified on that tab. For instance, while reviewing the org chart, and as you see your revenues are going to be increasing from last year's amount to this year's planned amount, you and your team should be thinking about what additional staff is required to sell the revenue, a sales staff's goal, produce the revenue, the production staff's goal, and what additional admin staff is needed, the financial staff's goal. As you go through each successive tab, make sure that none of the 4 business disciplines are overlooked. Your team members will probably recognize intuitively what their individual responsibilities should be to make the plan work as you review each tab. Encourage them to make their own goal recommendations as you go from tab to tab. Then, before going on to the next tab, encourage your other team members to suggest any other goals for the other departments. Record all of the goals that your team thinks of on each tab. Don't worry if the list seems to be growing overwhelming. Your first job is to make sure that no important activities or results are overlooked. You can later go back and consolidate or eliminate the goals that are redundant or that are not really necessary. The next step is to make sure that these goals qualify as goals. To qualify as a goal, it must be measurable and have a completion date. I also like to add to each goal who is responsible for its accomplishment. As an example, I might word a sales goal in the following way. John will recruit and train a new salesperson by June who will sell $400,000 this year. This one goal might have consolidated several other goals that were thought of in the brainstorming process. The last step is to identify action plans. If the goal must be acted on by more than one person for its successful accomplishment, it is a good idea to break the goal down into individual action plans for the various people who must be involved. Otherwise, no one will take ownership of the goal. An example of such a goal that needs action plans could be increase company profitability by 10%. Clearly, this could require a significant contribution from all departments to see it's achieved. The sales manager may have to increase prices. The production manager might have to get her team more efficient, and the finance manager may have to cut administrative costs. Without individual action plans for these managers, no one could be held accountable for the success of this goal. We highly recommend that you conduct regular staff meetings. The meeting agendas should be largely made up of the goals and action plans that are identified in this process. By going around the room in your staff meetings and having each person report on the status of their goals and action plans, you will make sure that everyone understands if the company is on track or off track in achieving your control panel plan. For more insights into establishing goals and staff meetings, download from the Knowledge System Part 3 Management, Session 2, called Objectives, Goals, and Action Plans, which also covers how to conduct successful staff meetings.